Okay, but one of the things I'm probably most excited about, which is, I think an important part of your question here, I think this year getting more activity and momentum around the lending protocol and other protocols, it's just moving further. It's a priority for me, it's a priority for Ripple, but yield generation, and whether it's Ripple supporting partners like Flare, Morpho, there's kind of Uphold, Doppler, Axlar, but all of these companies are doing things around yield, kind of yield generation on the XRP ledger, and I think it's critically important to make it more institutional, more friendly to the community.
Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to another CYPRX video breakdown. What Brad Garlinghouse just said to you guys from XRP Community Day that just took place a few hours ago goes hand in hand with what I mentioned to you all in this post, that Ripple's at the forefront. XRP will not miss out on these institutional yield strategies, and they will earn yield on their XRP, they being these large institutions. But remember, this is a level playing field. DeFi opens the door for that. And so we as retail holders are going to be able to earn and generate passive income on our XRP as well, never having to sell out of our XRP positions for fiat trash. The fundamentals that we're going to go over today are going to support that backdrop. So buckle up. Let's dive into the fundamentals today. If you guys enjoy these types of video breakdowns, do me that favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. So I started off here by saying, notice how Ripple mentioned a few days in advance that XRP is at the front and center of their institutional DeFi blueprint for the XRPL. In my personal opinion, this is not by accident. Now, I like that Brad had the humility to admit that there are some other layer ones that are way ahead of the curve in terms of the DeFi ecosystems on their networks.
To make it more institutional, more friendly to the community, there are some L1s are kind of ahead of us in this, and I think 2026, seeing real progress on this is important.
However, that does not mean that the XRPL is going to sleep on these DeFi primitives and opportunities, as they just put out February 5th, 2026, their institutional DeFi on the XRPL, scaling real-world finance with XRP at the core fundamental piece just at the beginning of February. It goes on to read, XRP, the native digital asset powering the network, has seen a surge in both direct and indirect utility. With native on-chain privacy permission lending set to go live in the coming months, I highlighted that in purple. We will be paying very close attention to that. XRPL is positioning itself not just as a chain for tokenization, but as an end-to-end operating system for real-world finance. Scrolling all the way down here, the thing that I like the most is it goes on to talk about how Evernorth is going to actively start preparing to utilize the lending protocol XLS66 to generate institutional grade yield on its extensive XRP holdings, which just goes to solidify where I said back here that these large organizations will 110% aim to earn yield on their XRP. And so following suit as a retail investor, we know that these large organizations at some point in time in the future are going to be earning massive amounts of passive rewards on their XRP holdings. Putting our XRP to work is something that would have benefited us all over the past consecutive couple of years. I myself have been holding since 2016. And if I could have been earning 3 to maybe 5 or even 7%, in some cases, maybe even double-digit yields on my XRP for over 10 years, my XRP bag would be so much bigger than it is today. Again, just earning passive income and compounding those rewards every single day, trickling down into that snowball effect. Moving over here into the announcement with Figment and Ripple. This is the day after Ripple published that announcement. This is from February 9th, 2026, and it goes on to read here. Ripple has selected Figment to support and scale its staking strategy. Under this partnership, Ripple leverages Figment's institutional-grade staking solutions, enabling regulated institutions to access enterprise-grade staking for leading proof-of-stake networks like Ethereum and Solana. And so this is just another major confirmation that these institutions are preparing to start to generate yield on their digital assets. Down here it goes on to read, the institutional appetite for staking has evolved. It is no longer just about yield, but also about integrating rewards into a holistic digital asset strategy, said Nicholas Teiser, lead product custody at Ripples. So even more major confirmation that these institutions are heavily fixated on generating passive rewards in their digital asset strategies. Now, back-to-back fundamentals, we had another fundamental piece. Doppler Finance and Open Eden put this out a day after February 10th, 2026, and it just supports this entire yield generation backdrop. A leading XRP ledger native yield infrastructure, Doppler Finance and Open Eden, a leading real-world asset platform known for its focus on regulatory compliance, announced a strategic partnership aimed at supporting RLUSD adoption and accelerating activity across the XRP ledger through the use of T-bill, tokenized US Treasury bills, and USDO, which is a regulated yield-bearing stablecoin. Through this partnership, access to real-world asset-backed yield opportunities for XRP and RLUSD holders is expected to become possible by leveraging the complementary strengths of both organizations. So there is your confirmation right there that in the coming maybe weeks/months ahead, this is something that we should be paying very close attention to. The collaboration centers on integrating Open Eden's tokenized real-world asset infrastructure into Doppler's XRPL native yield protocol using RWA-backed assets such as T-bills and USDO. Through this structure, XRP and RLUSD holders will be able to access US Treasury backed yield directly on the XRP ledger, with Doppler providing the on chain gateway that connects XRPL native liquidity to institutional grade RWA products. This approach simplifies access to yield opportunities that have traditionally required institutional infrastructure. So, to the average retail investor, these things have not been readily available, and now they are. It says making them more accessible to a wider range of participants without compromising on compliance or operational rigor. Last but not least, it says here to close this piece, this partnership reflects our belief that real-world assets will play a critical role in bringing institutional-grade financial infrastructure on-chain, said Rox, head of institutions at Doppler Finance. By working with Open Eden, we aim to help make RWA-backed yield opportunities more accessible to XRP and RLUSD holders through transparent XRPL native structures. Now, the next fundamental piece goes hand in hand with the video breakdown that I played for you guys from 1 month ago. Still only has 39 views from this lady, Helen Liu from Bybit. Remember, she went on to talk about double-digit yield opportunities taking place and how Bybit is going to offer those double-digit yield opportunities.
We try to provide something attractive and then very steady. So in that case, I think it's a 5% or 7% or 14%, which is something we could offer, which is already so much more attractive than the traditional banks. Yeah. And then from the user, you talk about the UX, right? So the user journey.
So Helen from Bybit went on to confirm that they can provide anywhere between 7 to 14% yield, and it's actually a healthy yield that they could see themselves providing if they don't already. And so coming over here to this major announcement, this is from today. As of time of recording, it's February 11th. Depending on when you're watching this recording, it might be a couple days old, but still nonetheless from the month of February. Bybit partners with Doppler Finance to provide institutional-grade XRP earn products for its users. Here this goes on to read. This collaboration will introduce XRP yield products to Bybit Earn, expanding secure and transparent opportunities for one of the market's most actively traded digital assets. The partnership solves a long-standing structural challenge. XRP does not support native staking. Doppler Finance delivers an institutional-grade alternative through regulated custody, fully audited reserves, and real-time verification framework built specifically for non-staking assets like XRP. Its architecture integrates yield vaults, reserve attestations, and risk-managed strategies to provide compliant and transparent yield generation for XRP holders. That is such a massive statement right there and goes hand in hand with this post, why I said that XRP will not miss out on these institutional yield strategies and that they will want to earn yield on their XRP. And this was put out on February 9th, 2026, a few days before this Bybit post. So now it just goes hand in hand with what Bybit is saying directly in their own fundamentals. Through Doppler's institutional grade vault infrastructure, Bybit users will gain access to XRP yield options with improved safety and capital efficiency. The integration supports Bybit's broader mission to connect high assurance financial infrastructure with innovative on chain opportunities, delivering a unified experience tailored to both retail and institutional participants. So, there is the mention of that level playing field for both retail and institutions. We built Doppler specifically to unlock secure yield for XRP as a non staking asset. Said Rocks, there he is again, head of institutions at Doppler Finance. Bybit's global reach and trusted brand will allow us to bring these institutional grade capabilities to a significantly larger audience, backed by transparency and verifiability and designed for XRP holders. Last but not least, another groundbreaking fundamental development, February 11th, 2026. And here I want you guys to pay attention to some key vocabulary because it gives a zoomed out perspective and kind of time horizon that I feel like everybody should really understand when it comes to the transformation of finance. Aviva Investors, the global asset management business of Aviva PLC and Ripple, a financial technology company that offers crypto solutions for businesses, have today announced a partnership with the intention of tokenizing traditional fund structures. Ripple will support Aviva Investors with the initiative as part of its broader effort to bring traditional finance assets with real utility to the XRP ledger. The collaboration is Ripple's first with an investment management business based in Europe, building upon the firm's significant experience working with financial institutions in the other regions. The initiative is also first of its kind for Aviva Investors as they seek to incorporate tokenized solutions into their existing product offering. The collaboration is anchored in a shared long-term vision, with both parties set to work together closely over 2026 and beyond. There's that key vocabulary and where it starts to bring tokenized funds to the XRP ledger. Now, down here, check this out. Vice President, Trading and Markets at Ripple states, tokenization is now moving from experimentation to large-scale production. Institutions like Aviva Investors are now focused on how to deploy regulated financial assets at scale. The development of tokenized fund structures is one that we believe can bring huge technological efficiencies to the investment sector, and we expect this to take full effect over the next decade. So think about that. We're in 2026. A decade from now brings us all the way up to 2036. With its built-in compliance tools, near instant settlement, and native liquidity, the XRP ledger provides the secure and scalable infrastructure required to support the next generation of institutional assets. The reason why I'm reading this is not to say that this is all going to take until 2036, but it's just to show you guys the long-term vision and partnerships that Ripple is establishing now to solidify its role in the transformation of the global financial ecosystem. Now, in regards to what he mentioned at the top of this, that tokenization is now moving from experimentation to large-scale production, I want to take you guys over real fast to listen to the global managing director at Accenture, where he spoke at the New York Stock Exchange just a couple of days ago. Keep in mind, Ripple, we know, is a partner of Accenture. That has nothing to do with this particular video breakdown, more so the vocabulary that the gentleman from Accenture mentions, how we are starting to see these projects move from pilot to real large-scale production. Take a second and listen.
And it's not a regional specific phenomenon. As the global lead, one of the things that I am fortunate enough to see is a very big macro landscape of how this trend is actually transforming global capital markets as well as banking on a global scale. And in every continent, major economic region, you're starting to see these activities actually moving forward. So that whole inflection of adoption is moving past the prototype experimentation stage and actually moving into live readiness and real value actually being transacted.
So we are moving from a proof of concept phase to large scale production phase, and it's happening at a very rapid pace. Again, in my personal opinion, you do not want to get into this space after regulations are clearly implemented and after institutions have flooded into the digital asset ecosystem. Now, that is not financial advice, and I'm not telling you guys to go out there and buy the digital asset XRP, but definitely go out there and do your research. This is one of those video breakdowns that they're not going to play to the mainstream masses, which just goes to show the perspective from these large industry leading experts. Many blessings to you guys. If you all enjoyed, do me that favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to the platform. We do appreciate the love and the support, and I will see you guys in the next video breakdown.